Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 107 podcast with myself, Jacob, and my co-host, Ash. This week, we are reviewing the Japanese Grand Prix, and I'll be honest with you, this podcast is likely to be one of the shortest we've ever done because not a lot happened. Predictably, Max won. Although, to be fair, one of the highlights was Yuki being the first Japanese point scorer at the Japanese Grand Prix since 2012. So, congratulations, Yuki. I know you're a big fan of the podcast, allegedly. That covers us, right? Ash, does that cover us? Yeah, legally.
Yeah, definitely. Just
Allegedly,
lean on my law degree.
Allegedly, Yuki's Sonoda's favorite Formula One podcast.
No, I think you're okay to say it because you're not you're not making any accusations.
No, exactly. So legally, it's fine.
If you were to say, Yuki doesn't like dogs.
Ooh.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But,
yeah.
I'm going to be completely honest. I did not watch the race.
Yeah, we both have something to admit to everyone, in which case neither of us watched the full race.
I woke up early. By early, I mean like 5 minutes before the race start.
Yeah.
Watched the first 15 laps, and I was like, it's just not worth it. I'd rather get back to sleep, kind of thing.
I watched the first couple of laps, but I was on holiday in Iceland, so like my sleep was way out of whack. I was up late the night before trying to watch the Northern Lights and stuff like that, and like I think I'd only had 4.5 hours sleep before my alarm went off to actually watch the Grand Prix. I watched up until the red flag, fell asleep, woke up to Max Verstappen crossing the finish line. I'm not kidding. That is literally what happened.
Yeah, it was. There's a lot of conversation and debate around it not being like, oh, Lewis Hamilton was super dominant. And I get what they're saying, but if you look at Max's dominance, right? If you look at 2022, he had a little bit of a fight with Ferrari at the start, then he just went and aced it.
Yeah.
2023, there was a little bit of surge at the start, then he went and aced it. And this race, he's putting it on pole and he's winning. If he doesn't win, it's a car issue. And the issue is I think Lewis Hamilton's longest win streak was 5.
Yeah.
Right. And we're talking about Verstappen winning every single race of the season without being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
And at least with Lewis, Nico challenged him in 2014. Not so much 2015, but 2016 as well. Vettel challenged him after that. And then Max obviously challenged him and beat him in 2021. And 2020, we don't really count that as a season. But Valtteri was winning races. Seb was winning races. Charles was winning races. Max was winning races during that time.
I mean, to also state not the obvious, but like during 2019, Valtteri Bottas won 4 races.
Yeah.
So he beat Lewis on 4 separate occasions.
Yeah, and he was putting it on pole as well.
Yeah. Like, and this is the thing. I feel like Valtteri gets a lot of disrespect.
Yeah,
like
really
he's
good
a
race in
fantastic driver. He had a great race in Japan, from what I've heard, because I didn't watch all the race.
He did,
and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say Mercedes need a driver for next year. Valtteri Bottas could go back. I'm just going to put that out there. He's still on.
Yeah, Lewis won't be there.
Lewis won't be there. Valtteri Bottas can come in, although maybe not with George Russell. That might not be the best pairing. But I genuinely think there is a case for Valtteri Bottas to go back to Mercedes, and I will not be told otherwise. There is a case there.
Anyways, back to the dominance conversation. Because he's not going back.
There's a case.
I just wanted to say, a lot of people are like, oh, but there's great battles from second onwards, like McLarens and Ferraris and a little bit of Astons, and look at the midfield battle. But the problem is there's nothing at stake, right? Oh, it's good that, McLaren and Ferrari are having a battle and Fernando's there. But what is it for? A few points? It's not to win the race. It's not to win the championship. So why would I want to? It's like the Premier League, right? I'm sure you're going to get a great match between I don't want to fuck it. They're 10th anyway. Chelsea and
Aston Villa.
Actually, Aston Villa are fine for Champions League. But wait, we'll take Chelsea and Aston Villa, right? They'll have a great match, right?
Yeah.
It'll be super entertaining. But they're not fighting for the top position.
No.
Not fighting to win the league. Whereas you've got Liverpool, United, and Arsenal. when they play, you're more invested because it's going to affect
the stakes are higher. Yeah,
the stakes are higher. So even was saying, but the midfield battles are great. So, but there's nothing at stake. Okay, they might get some prize money, they might get some wind tunnel time, but that I'm not watching for them to get wind tunnel time.
I know what you mean. I feel like if the race was at a slightly different time, obviously we probably would have watched a lot more. It's just one of those things, I think the Chinese Grand Prix is at 9 in the morning for me, so 8 in the morning for you. That's not too bad, right?
No, and it's been what, 5 years?
It's been 5 years, so there's actually stuff at stake because nobody really knows who's going to be great at that Grand Prix. McLaren are not going to be very good. I'm going to tell you that for free.
Resurfaced track.
Resurfaced when? Last year before,
sure,
something like that. But resurfaced. So most teams are going to be back to square one. Essentially, you'll have old heads like Lewis Hamilton who have raced there since 2007 through to 2019, so he'll know it pretty well. But you'll have other drivers like Oscar Piastri who has never driven there, and like Alex Albon who's only ever driven there twice, I think. So
Zhu hasn't driven there, has he?
I think he did. He probably did as a junior. Yeah. I don't think so. Obviously not as an F1 driver. But I think that will actually make that race particularly interesting, and the fact that I won't be very sleep deprived. I did have a look online at like some of the highlights and things that people are saying, and I did look and watch some of the highlights. So Yuki's overtake through the first couple of corners was very good around the outside. I love that. But can we talk very quickly about the lap 1 incident? What was your opinion on the lap 1 incident? Because it's one of the only things we can talk about,
No, I mean, there's a couple of things after that, which would be the whole chassis issue and Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a racing incident.
Yeah, for me, racing incident. I feel like Daniel was slightly more at fault. Barely, but also Alex couldn't see who was the other side of Daniel. It was
Lance Stroll.
Lance. So like Alex couldn't see Lance couldn't see Alex. Daniel was trying not to get hit by Lance. So it's just one of those things. Like it reminded me a little bit of was it Hulkenberg and Perez and I can't remember who, but from last year in Bahrain, where it's just like all three cars had contact during the sprint race, which meant that all three went out. Nobody took a penalty. It is what it is type thing.
First lap.
It happens.
You're going into the S's as well, which narrows. So yeah, it's just one of the things where like, I've avoided Lance, but in doing so, I've gone into Alex.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's just half a dozen of one, 6 of the other. But then, fortunately, he's damaged the chassis, which not good for Williams at the moment. They got a couple of weeks, but
yeah. So Williams obviously Alex Albon damaged his chassis, and Logan Sargent will be running the previously damaged chassis that Alex crashed in Australia. And I remember some people saying, or Williams, they said like, "Oh, well, we'll have a spare chassis for China." I think that's what they said anyway. I'm 99% sure. And so. Then when they said, "Oh, we're not going to have a spare chassis for China," people were like, "So you lied?" And it's like, no. They were busy trying to fix the other one, which took away resources from helping to finalize the other chassis. So that's why I just wanted to clear that up because some people, weren't aware. But that's why it's just taking us some time, Like that's what it is. You can't do a lot about that. But the good news is that they have 2 chassis for the next race, which is good. And fingers crossed they will have a spare one by Miami. But it's just not great. And they're not the only team that don't have a spare chassis at the moment as well. Daniel Ricciardo also damaged his, right?
Well, that's the thing, isn't he? He's getting a new chassis.
He's getting a new one anyway,
which he believes may be contributing to how he's feeling in the car. But he did do a lot better this race. He was a lot closer to Yuki. So we'll see what happens when he gets the new chassis in China. But he's slowly but steadily improving. And I think wouldn't say it knocked his confidence, but I think there's a little bit of a hit to him to now finish the race and got some more miles under his belt.
Yeah.
But just obviously just well done to Yuki again.
Yeah, hats off. Great race from what I saw.
And Carlos get the podium position, which is pretty good. Fernando did well with the updated Aston Martin, so it'll be good to see where they go with that. Gasly is kind of being shown up by Ocon. Ocon's
so far,
making it into Q2 and Gasly's not there, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes because Ocon doesn't have a contract, I believe, for next year.
I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think so. I don't think
he has a contract, so that'll be interesting. But one of our listeners, Patrick, shout out to Patrick, was there at Japan and
he was
met a ton of drivers and Formula One personnel,
including Will Buxton.
And overall said it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, we have invited him on the podcast. We just need to organise it because it'd actually be really cool to speak to him, actually as a fan, but also just to hear about his experience at Japanese Grand Prix. He had pit lane passes and was invited into Mercedes's garage to watch the pit stops and stuff like that. So it'd be great to hear from him about his experience there. Flew in from the US and
he was
really enjoyed the race.
On the Mercedes AMG socials.
He was for a split second, yeah. But yeah, no, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And then I think the best thing that came out of that race was Penelope shouting Maxi.
Yeah, oh bless.
So
she's so sweet. Unbelievably sweet. Yeah, that guy's winning off and on the track, isn't he, Max? Unbelievable.
That was just so good.
Yeah, so sweet. I do something a little bit also heartwarming on the same sort of thread. Was that Yuki said that it made him very happy that he was in Japan around early April to see the cherry blossom because he hasn't been home in the last few years. Cool. So that hit me a little bit, I'll be honest. That's quite sad that he's never been or hasn't been home that often to watch the cherry blossom. So I was really, really happy for him that he got to see that. Yeah. So yeah, that was just a nice, little heartwarming little bit that came out of the weekend that I was very happy to see, as well as obviously P celebrating Max's win because bless her, she thought that she was a bad luck charm after he didn't finish in Australia. Bless, so sweet.
Well, I think the only thing I just want to talk about is Red Bull's driver for next year. And Sergio is making a good case for himself. Apparently, he mentioned it would be
within the next month. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like if he continues to do what he's doing, why would you not have Sergio in that car?
Yeah, I mean he had a problem in Australia, didn't he? He had floor damage or somebody's was it somebody's tear off in the floor? Somebody had a tear off stuck somewhere.
So a tear off hit kind of sensitive part of the floor. So
I'll be honest with you, Newey, if a bit of plastic, very thin plastic, like a bit of cling film can ruin a floor, Newey, mate, come on.
No, I think that just shows how good the floor is.
No.
Just the tiniest little thing.
No, Newey, come on.
So, and if it's going to be decided in the next month, it does strongly towards retaining Sergio. I'm going to assume it's going to be a 1-year contract.
Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Sergio. I will tell you that until the cows come home. However, this season he's done pretty well, and you can't really knock him for that.
No, maybe just qualifying, he could just probably step it up a little bit.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's only been a few races.
Yeah,
they're getting the 1-2s, so
yeah. Again, can't really complain. Not really, anyway. So yeah, Carlos Sainz had a good weekend as well. And I saw as well that Charles, part of the reason why he finished so far down, was because he ignored strategy from Ferrari. So I think Ferrari cooked with strategy for once, which makes a change. So hats off to Ferrari.
Mate,
Fred has come in and done bits, but it's really annoyed me as a McLaren fan because it means Ferrari are further away from McLaren. That's the only thing.
Car's improved.
Yeah.
He's got two solid drivers.
Spirits are up.
Lewis Hamilton.
Spirits are up, lad. So
yeah. So because I remember at the start of the year there was all those jokes when they did the promo video and they didn't get the front left on properly.
Yeah, so funny. I do kind of have a little bit of a conspiracy theory that they released that on purpose because it got people talking, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry, here's the proper version."
It's like that thing. If you want to know the answer on the internet, like say the wrong thing, and someone will very quickly correct you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I feel like these social media admins, they know the perception they have online and stuff like that. So like, I think that it might have been a very clever social media manager. Yeah. Do we have anything else to talk about the race?
No, I'm even checking the news, and there's not much on the news either.
No. So in that case, then we've been recording for 15 minutes now, but I'm going to completely derail this podcast. Right?
Okay.
Do you have a pen and paper near you? Something to write something down.
I actually do.
Do you? This is not prepared, by the way. This is genuinely pen and paper, right? I have. To look forward to China, because we haven't been there in years, I have written 5 quiz questions for you to answer about Chinese Grand Prix.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So this is the thing. I want to do this every single week, the pre-race week. So I know this is a week early, but I'm excited. I just want to do it, you know. And I'm going to do a bonus one next week as well when we record pre-China. With another 5 questions, and I'm also going to release it as clips for like TikTok, Instagram, and stuff like that. So I may or may not have stolen this from Shits and Gigs doing Key Stage 3 questions, but this is.
Hold on, I did steal something from them around the hot takes as well.
You did, yeah. Okay, so we're being inspired by. We're not copying. Okay, so 5 quiz questions.
Are we going to alternate this? So will I do 5 for you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can do that as well.
And then is it Imola after?
I think so. No, Miami.
Is it Miami?
Yeah.
Okay, Miami.
That's going to be a bit difficult, isn't it? To come up with 5 quiz questions. We'll come up with something. Okay, so 5 quiz questions. If you're playing along at home, I will start. I will say the question, give you a couple of seconds, then repeat the question, then move on to the next question, and then I will state the answers afterwards. Okay?
Cool.
So, question number 1. Who won the first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004? I will give you 1 point for the driver and 1 point for the constructor. Who won the first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004? Driver and constructor. I'll give you a point for both. Question number 2. Which team has won the most Chinese Grand Prix as of like 2022? Because obviously, like that was like 2023. Sorry, because we haven't been there. Which team has won the most Chinese Grand Prix races as of 2023? Question number 3. In which year did the Chinese Grand Prix become the 1000th race for the Formula 1 World Championship? In which year did the Chinese Grand Prix become the 1000th Formula 1 World Championship race? Question number 4. Who holds the record for the fastest lap at the track? Who holds the record for the fastest lap at the track? And question number 5. What notable incident occurred at the 2007 Chinese Grand Prix involving Lewis Hamilton? What notable incident occurred at the 2007 Chinese Grand Prix involving Lewis Hamilton?
That was quite tough, actually.
There were a couple in there, so that's the end of the questions. There were a couple in there which I think semi-easy, but a couple in there that were quite good, I think. I think this is a pretty good little quiz.
It was good, yeah.
So,
it was very tough. I think I got like 1.
Okay, all right, so questions. Who won the first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004? The answer was Rubens Barrichello, and he was driving for Ferrari. So, did you get any of those?
Schumacher.
Yeah.
So I got that wrong, but I got Ferrari.
Yeah, okay, cool. So you got 1 out of, I guess, 6 is what I gave you.
Yeah.
Which team has won the most Chinese Grand Prix races out of 2023? The answer is Mercedes.
Yeah, got that. Nice.
Question 3. In which year did the Chinese Grand Prix become the 1000th Formula 1 World Championship race? The answer was 2019.
Oh, I put 15.
Ooh, that's quite far off. Question number 4. Who holds the record for the fastest lap at the Shanghai International Circuit, which is obviously the Chinese Grand Prix? The answer is Michael Schumacher, and he set this in 2004.
Oh, but Kimi Räikkönen.
Ooh, that's a good shout, actually. To be fair, that's a pretty good shout. I would also argue that the lap record probably would have been beaten by the W20.
Yeah.
Yep.
W11.
11. Sorry, Jesus. I don't know why I said 20. It's probably because I was reading the number 20. Okay, and lastly, question number 5. What notable incident occurred at the 2007 Chinese Grand Prix involving Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah, we talked about this before the podcast started.
Yeah, he had a puncture. Yeah.
No, wasn't it he drove the pit lane? He drove into the gravel.
Yeah, sorry, he got caught in the gravel. Sorry. Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? Am I wrong?
Yeah, sorry, got caught in the gravel. I do apologise.
He could have won the championship.
He
that race.
could have won the championship, either that race or obviously I think there was one more race that season.
Yeah, it was Brazil after that, I think. And isn't that when he had a gearbox issue?
Yeah. I'm just double checking now. Yeah, Japan, then China, then Brazil, and it was 2 weeks later. So there we go. So how many did you get out of, what was that, 6?
So I got 3 points.
That's not bad. That's 50%. That's not too bad.
So.
And you know how we were talking about fastest laps and stuff like that, and you said Kimi Raikkonen? During the 2004 season, he had 6 fastest laps over the entire season. There were 17 races, so that was a pretty good guess.
Can you see how many retirements he had? Because that was a running thing with him, innit? Him and McLaren. He just.
Where is he? 2 during the 2004. Oh, sorry, this is 2007. Sorry, I'm looking at completely the wrong year. Kimi Raikkonen had 5 fastest laps. 6 fastest laps for the 2007 championship year, but obviously he was driving for
Ferrari
that year. So yeah, but 2004, I can tell you how many retirements he had. That obviously this is not related to the Chinese Grand Prix at all, was it? To the Japanese Grand Prix at all. Kimi Raikkonen, guess how many retirements he had during 2004?
I'm gonna say 7.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Out of 17 races, right?
However, during one of those races, he did have a fastest lap where he retired. He retired and got the fastest lap. So,
oh god,
there we go. But I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of retirements on here. If I'm honest, a lot of retirements. So. Maybe it was just obviously with time comes reliability, you know? So
that's true.
There is that to take into account. Wow, Ferrari ran away with the constructors that year. Jesus Christ. Yeah, cool. I don't really have anything else. I will leave it to you to come up with a quiz for pre-China next week. Don't use the same questions, please.
Cool.
But yeah, I'll leave that with you. You can do it, and then I will do Miami.
Sweet, let's do that.
Cool. Be nice to switch things up a little bit as well.
I mean, we need to keep people entertained in this era of dominance.
Got to do it somehow, you know.
We're not talking about races anymore.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. I did have a look. I don't think I spotted anything outside of the race to note either. To be honest with you.
What happened with George and Oscar Piastri? Oh gosh, because George was summoned to the stewards for forcing Oscar off the track.
Was he?
Yeah.
I also did see that McLaren's strategy stunk.
Yeah, they left Lando out, so no action against him.
Okay, cool. I'm so glad. I don't know what happened. I'm really sorry. I don't mean to be a bad podcast host, but I was very sleepy.
So was I, man. So was I. But yeah, I guess let's wrap it up.
On to China. Hopefully China will be a lot better. Yeah, we've been chatting now for like 24 and a half-ish minutes, so we will end it there. Thank you very much for listening. If you're not following us on Instagram or your preferred socials or your preferred podcast platform, be sure to follow us and give us a rating because it genuinely really does help us out. And we're looking to grow as much this year. And keep on bringing it home, just like Max Verstappen.
Yeah. And we've got some cool guests coming.
We still have more guests. Yes. Very good point. Yeah. Still more guests. Awesome. All right. Cheers, everyone.